Bullies ridicule the newly transferred black student, unaware that he's a deadly fighter. Man, this tale will ignite your blood and leave you on your feet cheering. As Dorian stepped through the prestigious gates of Winston University with his full scholarship, he believed that his greatest challenge would be the advanced calculus courses ahead. However, those privileged frat boys took one glance at his skin color and chose to turn his life into a nightmare. What they didn't realize is that before Dorian became a straight-A student, he had spent years honing his skills in some of the toughest dojos across Chicago. When you corner a skilled fighter, well, let's just say these bullies are about to receive a hard lesson in karma. Now, let me rewind to Dorian's first day at Winston. Imagine this, a sea of designer backpacks and trust fund kids. And there he stands wearing the second-hand blazer his mother had meticulously ironed the night before. He walks toward his advanced physics class when he overhears someone whisper, "Must be lost. The community college is downtown." That someone is Chad Thompson, donning a smirk possibly more expensive than Dorian's entire outfit. Yet Dorian keeps striding, his shoulders squared and head held high. Growing up on Chicago's South Side afforded him a valuable lesson. Sometimes, the wisest move is to let your foes believe they have you figured out. Within his backpack lie 3 acceptance letters from Ivy League universities and medals from martial arts competitions that would wipe away those smirks in an instant. The whispers trail him into the classroom, probably an affirmative action case. Chad announces loudly enough for everyone to hear. But when Professor Martinez poses a question about quantum mechanics that stumps the entire class, guess whose hand is the only one raised? The expression on Chad's face during Dorian's breakdown of the complex theory is priceless. That's when things take a turn. After class, Chad and his friends ambush Dorian in the hallway. "Hey, scholarship kid," Chad says, blocking his way. "We've got a little tradition here at Winston, a rite of passage for new students to prove their worth." Dorian feels his muscles tense not from fear, but from the instinct of years of training kicking in. He could end it right now. But he recalls his mother's advice, "You're not there to fight. You're there to win at their own game." What Chad and his crew failed to realize is that they just committed the biggest blunder of their college lives. While they plotted their next act of hazing, Dorian was strategizing, not with checkers, but chess. He pulled out his phone and hit record, documenting every word of their so-called welcoming speech. Years of encounters with bullies had taught him one crucial lesson: documentation is your best ally. "Look, guys," Dorian says steadily, his phone still capturing the exchange, "I'm just here to study, just like you." But Chad steps closer, the smug smile morphing into something sinister. "Same as us. That's cute. But let's be real, you're not exactly Winston material." His friend snickers, oblivious to how Dorian subtly shifts his weight, distributing it like a spring coil to strike. At that moment, Jessica Chen, the student newspaper editor, walks past, working on an exposé regarding Winston's history of discrimination. She pretends to be oblivious, yet her phone is recording too. That's the problem with bullies, they often overlook the bigger picture. Later that day, while sitting in the library, Dorian overhears Chad's group plotting something larger regarding the upcoming physics project presentations. They appear to have devised some special plans for the scholarship kid. Yet, what they don't know is that Dorian is already several steps ahead. Remember those martial arts competitions? They not only taught him how to fight, they also imparted strategy, patience, and most importantly, how to turn an opponent's strengths into weaknesses. "Hey, Chad," Dorian calls out, his voice resonating through the quiet library. "Looking forward to collaborating on that project." The bewildered look on Chad's face is a typical reaction when your target stops behaving like one. The next morning, Dorian arrives early to discover his locker plastered with printouts detailing scholarship requirements. Real subtle, right? But what truly captures his attention is an old photograph tucked in the corner, showcasing the Winston University class of 1963. And guess what? Not a single person of color in sight. That's when Sarah, a junior working in the archives, approaches him. "They pulled the same stunt on my brother 2 years ago," she whispers cautiously, looking around. "He transferred out, couldn't handle it." Her hands tremble as she pulls out more photographs and documents, revealing that Chad's fraternity, Beta Theta has a 60-year history of upholding Winston's traditions, code for keeping people like Dorian out. But here's where it gets intriguing. While Chad and his buddies are preoccupied with their games, Dorian is focused on what he does best, studying. Not just physics, though. He's observing them, their behaviors, their vulnerabilities. During lunch, he watches as Chad taunts another freshman, this time a Latino kid named Miguel. Dorian's fists clench beneath the table, his martial arts training urging him to intervene. Instead, he pulls out his phone, opens his notes app, and begins typing. Chad's gang isn't merely bullying peers. They're orchestrating a sophisticated cheating network, affluent kids paying them to take exams, writing essays. You name it. Dorian's documenting it all. You should just leave. A voice warns from behind him. It's Brad, Chad's right-hand man, attempting to sound menacing. But Dorian simply smiles, the kind of smile forged through years facing opponents in the ring. Thanks for the advice, he replies. But I think I'll stick around. Things are about to get really interesting. The following day in the campus gym, everything changes. Chad and his crew swagger in while Dorian completes his morning workout, a routine he's maintained since age 12. They are unaware of this. All they see is yet another opportunity to target the scholarship kid. Hey look, guys. Chad jeers loudly for all to hear. Trying to bulk up so you can actually belong here. The gym falls silent. Students feign focus on their workouts. But all eyes are drawn to the exchange. This is the moment Chad has been waiting for, a chance to publicly humiliate Dorian. How about a friendly competition? Chad suggests, gesturing to the boxing ring in the corner. Winner earns respect. Loser, well, losers know where they belong. The caveat. Chad boasts state boxing titles, his father having paid for top-notch trainers. What he fails to realize is that Dorian has been teaching advanced martial arts classes since he turned 16. Are you sure about this? Dorian asks quietly, offering Chad one last opportunity to back out. But Chad's already shedding his designer hoodie, his fraternity brothers closing in around the ring. The gym's packed now. News travels quickly at Winston. Just then, something beautiful unfolds. Miguel, the Latino kid from yesterday, starts live streaming on his phone. Sarah from the archives pulls out hers too. Even some members of Chad's own fraternity can't resist joining in because everyone loves watching a bully receive their comeuppance. First one to tap out loses, announces Chad, bouncing on his toes as if victory is already his. Dorian merely nods, calm as still water. When Chad launches his first punch, a textbook-perfect right hook, Dorian is simply no longer there. Years of training take over. He moves like smoke. And suddenly, Chad finds himself staring up at the ceiling, astonished by what just occurred. The video of Chad hitting the mat spreads faster than the campus Wi-Fi password. But Dorian knows better than to celebrate. This is when entitled bullies are at their most perilous. Chad isn't merely humiliated. His entire facade of superiority has crumbled before everyone. During advanced physics the next day, Professor Martinez announces the midterm project partners. Surprise. Surprise. Dorian is paired with Chad. Remember, Martinez states, this project holds a weight of 40% of your grade. The look on Chad's face directed at Dorian is icy enough to freeze hell over. After class, Chad corners Dorian in the computer lab. Listen. Scholarship. He hisses. I don't care how proficient you are. One phone call from my father to the dean, and you're out. But Dorian keeps typing, pulling up files on his laptop. Interesting, he says calmly, because I've got some calls to make too. While Chad insisted on intimidating him, Dorian had been amassing evidence, screenshots of the fraternity's cheating ring, emails concerning payment for test taking, even a shared drive laden with old exams. You're not the only one familiar with how to play the system, Dorian states softly. The difference? I learned to survive. You learn to cheat. That's when Chad makes his gravest error. He lunges for Dorian's laptop. But security cameras are funny. They capture everything. The lab assistant, a quiet girl named Amy who has been observing the entire ordeal, stands up. I've got it all on camera, she declares, pointing toward the ceiling. Every word. Chad's face flashes through 50 shades of panic as he faces a decision, which invariably carries consequences. You would think Chad would wise up after that. But privilege is curious. It convinces folks they're invincible. The next morning, Dorian walks into the cafeteria to find Chad and his buddies huddled around their phones, snickering. One glance at his own phone reveals why. They've created a fake social media profile, publishing edited photos that make it appear Dorian cheated on his entrance exams, classic rich kid tactic, attempting to portray the scholarship student as the real fraud. Yet, here's the perspective that comes with Dorian's upbringing. You learn to keep receipts. Interesting timing. Dorian states as he slides into the seat across from Chad, making the cafeteria fall silent, everyone's eyes trained on him. Phones ready. Especially since I just emailed Professor Martinez all the evidence of who's truly been cheating. He brandishes his phone, displaying the sent email, complete with that telling group chat where they coordinated their little test-taking service. Chad's face pales, whiter than his pressed polo shirt. You're bluffing. He stammers, but his hands betray him, shaking. That's when Jessica from the student newspaper rises from the next table. His not, she asserts, raising her recorder. And I've conducted interviews with 10 students you scammed. But the real kicker, Miguel, the boy they bullied earlier, starts broadcasting a video from his phone loud enough for everyone to hear. It features Chad and his friends bragging about how they've been running their cheating scheme for years. Turns out, Miguel has been collecting his own evidence too. The cafeteria erupts in whispers, and Chad's fraternity brothers begin retreating from their table, deleting messages from their phones, classic rat-like behavior when the ship starts to sink. That afternoon, the tension peaks in the campus parking lot. Chad waits by Dorian's car, but this time he's alone, no crew, no backup, just a privileged kid watching his world collapse. You think you've won, he sneers, his designer shoes scuffing the pavement. My father will, Dorian interrupts him. Will what? Write another check. Make some calls. That may have worked previously, but times have shifted. He pulls out his phone, showing Chad the trending hashtag. Hashtag Winston Cheaters. The story is everywhere now. Twitter, Instagram, even local news is stirring with interest. Chad lunges forward, throwing a desperate punch. But unlike in the gym, this is not a controlled setting. Security cameras catch everything, and Dorian sidesteps, letting Chad's momentum carry him straight into a puddle. Sometimes, karma's effects need no assistance at all. You don't understand. Chad croaks as he picks himself up. This was supposed to build my legacy. My father's name is on one of the buildings. That's when Sarah from the archives steps forward. It turns out, she's been capturing everything on her phone. Funny you should mention that building. She smirks. Wait till people learn how your family acquired the funds for that donation. But here's the essence of Dorian. He's not concerned about destroying Chad. He learned long ago that true victory isn't about obliterating your opponent. Look, he says, offering Chad a helping hand. You've got two choices. Keep digging yourself deeper or start afresh. Do better. Be better. The following days at Winston feel rejuvenated. News travels swiftly on a college campus. Yet change travels even more rapidly. Chad's fraternity faces suspension pending an investigation. The cheating ring is unveiled. Yet, the real shift happens in those quiet moments during lunch. Dorian observes new students who once sat in isolation starting to gather at larger tables. Miguel tutors a freshman in Spanish, and Sarah organizes a student committee to reassess the university's inclusion policies. It's as if everyone was merely waiting for someone to take the first step. You know what's the craziest aspect? Jessica tells Dorian as she works on her newspaper piece. Some of Chad's fraternity brothers came forward with more evidence. They were tired of it too, just too frightened to speak out. As for Chad, he hasn't vanished. That's not how reality operates. Instead, he's doing something no one expected. He's actually attending study group, completing his own work for the first time. It turns out, when you strip away shortcuts, people can surprise you. After class, Professor Martinez calls Dorian aside. You could have navigated this differently, she remarks. Could have retaliated with fire for fire. Dorian just smiles. My mom always said the best fighters know when to hold back. That's when he spots Chad in the hallway on his way to the library. Their eyes lock, and there's a newfound understanding, not friendship. Since that's not how real-life narratives conclude, but perhaps something resembling respect. You know what they don't tell you about confronting bullies? The real triumph lies not in the significant events, the confrontations, the revelations, the viral videos, but in the subtle shifts that emerge afterward. Like how the next scholarship student to step through Winston's gates won't have to glance over their shoulder, or how Miguel now confidently raises his hand in class, his voice strong and clear. A month later, Dorian sits in the library when a freshman approaches him nervously. Is what they say about you true? How you change things? Dorian surveys the library at the varied groups studying together. At Chad actually assisting someone with their homework. At Sarah organizing a diversity panel with the dean's backing. I didn't change anything. He replies. We all did. Sometimes, individuals just need to witness that it's achievable. He glances at his phone, reading a new text from his mom. Proud of you, baby. You fought smart, not hard. And that's fundamentally what this story represents. Not just karma or justice, but the choice of how to confront your battles. Because here's the reality. You don't need special powers or extraordinary martial arts abilities to stand up to bullies. Sometimes, all it takes is the courage to take that initial leap, the wisdom to gather your evidence, and the patience to allow karma to take its course. Speaking of karma, if this tale resonated with you, hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below. And hey, if you're interested in more stories about justice being served, check out the playlist appearing on your screen right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what unfolds next. Remember, real change initiates with you, one clever decision at a time.